Good afternoon, Year 8. In the 1930s, Franklin D. Roosevelt was the President of the United States of America. At the time, America was dealing with some huge issues. Their economy was in crisis, and millions of them were struggling to pay their rent and buy food for their next meals. To help them, Roosevelt, also known as FDR, sat down in the White House for fireside chats. In these chats, he helped the American people understand what was happening and how to get through it. This helped Americans come together and get through their crisis. Year 8, we too are facing loads of problems right now. You have been told to stay at home. For the first time in your lives, the schools have been closed, and the world is dealing with a terrible crisis because of the coronavirus. So, I've decided to follow FDR's example. I'm sitting by my fireplace, and I'm going to speak to you for a short time. We start every assembly reminding ourselves of the values of our school and of our purpose. You don't have to join in, but listen carefully as I remind you of the pledge. I believe I can always learn and improve. I'm committed to working hard so I realise my full potential. I treat others with respect at all times. I know that kindness, effort, aspiration and tenacity bring success. Year 8, welcome to your remote assembly. Before I share some of the excellent work that you have been doing at home, I want to say one more thing about FDR, who I spoke about at the start of the video. FDR was the longest serving president of the United States. He won a record 4 presidential elections, when all other presidents had served a maximum of only 2 terms. In that time, he guided the USA out of an economic crisis in the Great Depression. He put together a New Deal to help his country recover, and he led his country through the Second World War. You would think, and many people at the time also thought, that these were enough of a challenge for FDR. He must have been an extraordinarily strong person with nothing to hold him back. However, he had a big secret. In 1921, before he became president, he suffered from an awful illness. It was called GBS. GBS happens when your immune system, which usually defends your body against disease, attacks your own body and destroys your nervous system, which is supposed to connect your head to the rest of your body. Very quickly in 1921, FDR found, first of all, he couldn't feel his feet. Then he couldn't move them. Then the bottom half of his legs stopped working. And then all the way up to his middle, and he couldn't do anything with the bottom half of his body. He had difficulties breathing, and he had a fever. When he started to recover, he got the feeling back in his hands, and his fever started to clear, but he never got the use of his legs back. He was left unable to walk and unable to stand on his own. Even though all of his competitors were able to stand and walk on their own, FDR did not let this disadvantage stop him from realizing his full potential. He did this by working incredibly hard. He knew that whatever barriers were in his way, he would not let them stop him being the best version of himself that he could possibly be. We can learn a lot from FDR. Year 8, I'm not asking you to solve the economic problems facing our country. I'm not telling you to fight a world war from your bedrooms. What I am telling you is that despite what feels like a setback in your education, you need to see this as an opportunity to show your excellent character. Just like FDR, by showing excellent tenacity, working hard, and always giving your best effort, every single one of you can still realize your full potential. As a year group, the work you have been putting in over the last few weeks has been extraordinary. I, your tutors, and your subject teachers are all very proud of how you have responded to the crisis. As in every assembly, we're going to share some shout-outs. This time, they are all for Tenacity. Firstly, we have a shout-out from Mr. Burka for Mariama in Estonia. This is for continuing her daily study routine and consistently asking questions when stuck or struggling with the workload. Well done. Mr. Moiser has a shout-out for Brandon in Ecuador for identifying difficulties, overcoming problems, ignoring distractions, and independently starting revision for AP3. Mr. Stewart's shout-out is for Jamie Lee in Jordan for finding ways to complete her work even though she's broken her finger. Mr. Maxwell's shout-out is for Malachi in Malawi for excellent tenacity shown by completing lots of tasks in Year 8 work packs and setting himself up with a timetable at home to make sure he continues to make excellent progress. Miss Daubigin gives a shout out to Khadija in Paraguay for attempting to complete all the tasks even though they are difficult, holding herself to account with work and her timetable and never being afraid to ask questions, so she has also not given up, even when the technology is failing her. Miss Kai's shout-out is for Alexander in Senegal, for excellent independence in completing all of his work and helping out his parents with jobs at home. These are just a small number of examples of excellent character shown by Year 8, and I look forward to sharing more shout-outs with you in our next assemblies. Throughout this crisis, your tutors have been working tirelessly and with endless kindness to keep in contact with you and make sure you're all right. Year 8, even though your conversations with them are often not very long, it takes hours and hours for your tutors to call you all. Please remember to thank them for their calls and practice your politeness by asking them how they are when they call you. The next assembly is going to be about kindness, and you showing kindness to the others around you at this time. If you have some great examples of this, please let your tutors know when they call you, and then they can pass that on to me. Until next time, I hope you and your family are well, keep up your excellent work, and stay safe. Thank you, Year 8.